Rabe. Rabe again. To far. HMC doing a lot of movement of the disc, trying to work around the Hammertron zone. Big swings to get around, find where the zone is weakest. Hislop finds Sider on the far sideline, resetting to far. Big fake, shifting the defense, Rabe through the middle. Rabe to Hansen, back to Rabe. Big forehand, Kent Wilcock looks to take a bite. Yep. What? Huh? There was one, I think, to HMC. Yeah, yeah, two. That's HMC again, so 2-0.
Can you please just apologise for the audio?
Yep, I can't hear myself anymore.
I'll sort that. You just
Okay,
apologise for
yep.
the audio.
So again, HMC with the second score of the game, doing a fantastic job. First an offensive hold, second a defensive break, taking the score to 2-0 against Hammertron Fusion. Once again, apologies for the audio. At the moment, conditions are slightly less than favourable for our technology. Even the most primitive technology, a plastic disc, is causing its wielders a little bit of trouble in this wind.
Okay, so what's the score?
2-0 HMC.
Thank you. Okay, just apologise for the technical issues, please, Glenn.
So again, having a couple of technical troubles. Early morning, the weather has not been favourable, has perhaps slowed down our production somewhat. The score is now an accurate reflection of the status of the game. HMC up by 2, 9 minutes into this game. Our quarter-final on day 2 of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships Division 2. Hammertron Fusion to come out on offense. Adam Keenan giving the signal for readiness. Waiting for the response from HMC. A huge pull with a lot of edge. A bit of roll. Kieran Maunsell manages to stop the momentum, finds Lovell. Maunsell looking to break through the HMC defense, finding Kent Wilcock. A lot of give and go movements, very, very short passes. Just tight enough, finding Ferris. And there's a turn. Kent Wilcock immediately switching on to defense, trying to apply some pressure on that mark. There's our wind, enough to push things back towards the hands of Hammertron Fusion. Kent Wilcock again. Kieran Maunsell pushing on that far sideline. Trying to shift a zone, a very, very busy zone from the HMC. Hammertron prioritizing possession again. Secure hands, not enough when there's not security on the disc. Just a little bit much in the way of wind, requiring that much more spin and control from our players in order to make those discs catchable. Keenan to pick up. Manages to break around the defense to find Wilcock.
That's okay. It's not going to amount to much this one. Okay.
Keenan to Wilcock to Maunsell. Winding up a forehand. Eases back, finds Lovell. Ferris, our Colorado Comet. Then to Preble. just outside the fingertips of Monsell. Another turn, another opportunity for HMC to widen the score on this game. Warden looking to pick up. Massive backhand, finds turf just at the Hammertron Fusion end zone. Lovell on our near sideline, looking to centre the disc to Monsell. Trying to work through this zone. Low disc, Keenan keeps it alive. Farris through the middle, back to Monsell. Keenan again. Tries to offload to Wilcock, but the disc finds the ground. Resetting to Warden. Marked out by Carolyn Farris. A lot of pressure, not quite enough. Sivasith there, back to Warden. Warden again, far sideline now. Backhand straight to turf. A nice opportunity for Hammertron to narrow the score gap. Van der Velden on defense, looking around, looking to shut away Kieran Monsell's arsenal of throws. Just manages to miss out on a bite of that disc as Keenan finds Jesse Preble. Back to Monsell, Wilcock on the near sideline. A forehand and a fumble. Breaking around Hammertron's defense, Sivasith. A big forehand. Not to any clear receiver. Lovell to pick up in our corner of death. On a sideline with wins like these, makes it that much more difficult to work, forcing Hammertron back into their own defensive end zone. Keenan having to spin, finds Kieran Monsell. Carolyn Farris, Monsell again. Floats out in front. Keenan looking for some easy gains. Wilcock having to look back, finds Preble on the near sideline. Van der Velden trying to get a bid. A high shot, Carolyn Farris goes up for it. It's not quite enough to keep it secure. HMC with possession again. Warden centre field. Massive backhand. And the wind pushes the disc just down enough. It's one of the terrible things with playing in conditions like these is that the wind can be so unpredictable and you can have a very clear read on the disc, and at the very last second it can get pushed up or down just outside of the catching zone you've established with your hands. Lovell turning the disc right in the red zone. A good opportunity for HMC now to close out this point. Looks like the wind is going from the right-hand side of your screen to the left. Warden trying to get out of the corner, recenter, give himself as many opportunities to attack the Hammertron end zone. Sivasith, a light, maybe unfocused backhand. It goes high. A foul has been called. Looking like Warden trying to make the argument that Carolyn Farris made contact and that it interfered with his ability to make the catch. Warden looking to close out the point. Just too low, looking to make a break.
Okay, Michael, you can't do it until I tell you you're clear, mate. You're online. Okay, yeah, so
Monsell to Keenan. Marked out by Van der Velden. Finds Wilcock looking to break through. A three-person cut by the looks of things. A very low disc, but Farris keeps it alive. Keenan on the far sideline. To Preble, to Wilcock. Lots of momentum. Hammertron holsters the big backhand. Preble again to Monsell. Looking to establish that momentum again that allowed them to gain half the field in only a few passes. Wilcock back to Monsell, trying to work around the HMC zone through the centre to Preble again. Monsell. A low release to Lovell, to Preble again, looking for something. And HMC with a run through D, and again a less focused backhand, a little bit too much wobble, puts a little bit of pause on the disc and gives the defense time to get in position. Warden picking up the disc. With the wind in his favour, it's going to make it that much easier to potentially... Speaking of the wind, catching the disc, lifting it up, Sivasith, it comes out of the hands, Kent Wilcock to secure it. And then after a couple of passes, the same happens again. HMC to retain possession. Kent Wilcock on the mark, up against Warden, driving the HMC's offense. A big, meaty backhand just outside the hands of the bidding receiver. No score. Hammertron Fusion to take possession again. We'll see this one more time. Warden using the wind to his advantage. A light backhand, the wind carries it. And despite a phenomenal effort from the HMC bidding receiver, rather, it is not enough. Lovell with a big swing wide across the field, finding Wilcock. Over the top to Keenan on the far sideline now, working against the wind, Hammertron are. A bit of a collision there. Doesn't seem to have affected many things. Ferris on the far sideline. To Keenan again. Signalling for people to come through that defensive cup. Finds Wilcock as he manages to slip through a gap. Ferris back to Wilcock. Waiting for a receiver to cut through. Keenan takes the position. Receives the disc. Through to Lovell again. Kent Wilcock again. Back to Keenan. Hammertron players dropping off and then cutting back upfield through the defense, chipping away at it, as we've seen here with Kieran Monsell, the far sideline. To Lovell to Monsell again, a big fake trying to shift the defense and give himself some room, finds Keenan. Jesse Preble, a nice open position. Looked off in favour of Kieran again, back to Keenan. Keenan all the way through, straight into the HMC defender. Another turnover, a very long point ahead. We are 19 minutes into our game. Warden again, massive rip of a backhand. Lovell intercepts, finds Preble on the near sideline. To Keenan, almost every second touch for every Hammertron possession for this point so far. Preble back to Keenan on our near sideline, marked by Van der Velden. A cheeky spin. Finds Wilcock. Outside Lovell's hands into the back of Sivasith, but it looks like a call has been made. So contact made on the throw, uncontested. Both players have agreed that it happened. Kent Wilcock will retain possession of the disc. And it looks like a timeout has been called. So an absolute rough start in this very, very windy weather. HMC managing to capitalize so far with an offensive hold and a defensive break, but this point in particular has gone on for a very, very long time so far. Teams are starting to build that fatigue. Ultimate Frisbee doesn't allow for substitutions except in the instance of an injury until a point has been completed. So the longer these points go on, the more that fatigue builds up, the harder it can be for teams to retain the focus that is required to battle against conditions like these and make sure that the disc is kept in possession. And so we see again Hammertron Fusion playing what I have been informed reliably is a Rochambeau show. Rock, paper, scissors played against the people standing on either side of you, requiring a double elimination to knock you out. It's a nice way to keep yourselves occupied during a timeout when you want the 7 players on the line to really focus in on themselves as opposed to having interference from the rest of the team. Those 7 players need to gel, they need to work as a unit, and so making sure that they're all dialed in, particularly during a long point like this, where there have just been a series of turnovers, due not in any large part to the players themselves, but the conditions that are dictating, perhaps more than the players would like, what they're able to achieve. So the disc will be checked back in by Van der Velden in a moment. the offense first need to set. There's the check. Kent Wilcock now finding Shannon Howard. Big fakes, trying to shift the defense. Drops the disc right back to Lovell. Finds Preble pushing to the far sideline. Keenan again. Signaling for something, wanting someone to come through. Lovell on the far sideline. Back to Keenan. Just trying to keep that zone defense that we're seeing from the HMC moving. If a zone is moving, it might be out of position. Again, Lovell, shot to Wilcock. It bobbles out of the hands. Warden again, looking for a massive backhand as he keeps ripping those off. Too much pressure from Wilcock. And a bid by the HMC receiver, not enough to keep it off the ground. Keenan quick to make that turn, looking for an opportunity to advance the disc up the field. Finds Lovell. Keenan again, slowly chipping away at this HMC zone. A run through D from Furs, but a foul has been called. So the players will return, they'll have a discussion. Okay, and that is the signal that the foul, again uncontested. The disc will return to Adam Keenan. The last uncontested thrower will be checked in by Furs. Monsell, big backhand fake, shifting the defense, sends the forehand anyway, finds Wilcock. Lovell was right there in that top corner. Finds Monsell again on contact again with Furs. Back to Monsell. Dead shot, a bit of a nutmeg for Carolyn Farris. Another call has been made.
Okay. You can even unplug your monitor if you like. We'll sort that for the next game. Sorry about that, Michael.
It's unclear immediately what the players are discussing.
No, it should have all been straightforward from last night, and I think maybe just in our race to coming to camera 2. Camera 1, sorry. And coming camera 2, coming 2. In our race to get in last night before it got dark.
Now a reminder that Ultimate is a self-officiated sport without referees, and so it's on the players to understand the rules, to communicate them and to communicate with them with each other to ensure that that all calls are resolved sort of quickly, efficiently and respectfully. So that was a contested call. The bumping of the two fists together signifies that players were unable to reach an agreement, at which point the disc returns to the last uncontested play, which was Kieran Monsell in possession, who looks for Lovell, finding Monsell again. A forehand through to Lovell one more time. A lot of pressure from the HMC defense. Adam Keenan bobbles, manages to recover it, keeps his toes in bounds for Hammertron Fusion's first score of the game. Lots of pressure from the HMC defense. Christian Lovell pressured, but he pops one through. Keenan keeping the toes in. Unsurprising considering his performance the tournament so far, that Keenan be the first player on the Hammertron Fusion line to score in these conditions. The look of relief on his face that that point is finished. We're at 3 points in this game so far. 26 minutes have gone by of our 90-minute time limit. The Hammertron Fusion team will be very, very glad to have their defensive line out there and get those players who fought through that grueling point and give them an opportunity to recover a little bit. Kieran Allen looking to pull.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, sorry. The guy in black. Black throw.
Again, wind moving from right to left, which means that this is a great opportunity for Hammertron Fusion. If they're able to cause a turnover, they'll have an easier time working back down the field to score and potentially bring this game back to a tie. The signal's given for ladies. 3 points into the game. Each team should be fielding 4 ladies based on a decision made between the teams at the beginning of the game. Should be 4 ladies, 3 men. Daniel Thornton now to pull. Crank, crank. And there goes the shot, long, flat, and low. A little bit of lift at the end. Float giving HMC time to get in position. Far shifting the defense. Sider on our near sideline. Raba now pressured by Mackay. Manages to get across, clean shot across most of the field, opening up the space, trying to shift the zone. Hislop to Sider. Big forehand, but it catches wind, finds ground. You can see the way that the disc turned over. A little bit of the face of the disc caught the wind, and the same happened with Isaiah Kapoor's attempted backhand. Raba again. A little bit too much, but Sider's able to get underneath it, get a good read, sends a high backhand of his own. The wind kept by Isaiah Kapoor, flying out of nowhere, keeps possession. Daniel Thornton to Hon. Back to Thornton. Kapoor through the centre, just outside the hands of Ash Patterson. Lenny on the mark. Same issue, showing too much face to the wind. Climbs the ladder to get a hand to it, but the wind just a little too much to deal with. Thornton now, and a great opportunity for a Hammertron break here. Hon back to Thornton on our near side line, looking to work around the cup, finds Hon. Thornton again. Back to Hon, keeping that cup moving. Mackay nearing the far sideline to Patterson. A wobbly backhand, but Thornton keeps it alive. Hammertron trying to work the entire width of the field. Weber now. A lovely point block by HMC. Just a good read. Hammertron immediately switching back to defense in a great position. Raba on the far sideline. Low backhand, kept up. Big rip of a backhand, but the wind's going to catch it, bring it back. Sider puts a hand up, maybe as much out of protection as it was intent to catch the disc. Hon initiating the play, finds Thornton slightly overthrown. Lenny's not able to get it. Raba to resume the HMC offense. Far, Sider. Big backhand to Cairns. Back to Sider. A big forehand just outside. Hon making sure that that disc does not find the hands of Hansen. Picking up. Quick dish back to Thornton. Manages to get around his mark. Finds Hon. Thornton again. Trying to shift that defense. Create an opportunity to Lenny. Back to Thornton. Patterson outside of Far's attempt at the disc. Thornton one more time. Pressured on that near sideline. Manages to... Ooh. That disc came very close to the ground. Hon manages hands to it. There's no... Oh, a call has been made. As I suspected. So Raba has called that that disc was down. Hon having discussion saying he had control of it before it touched the ground. So once again, players exhibiting the spirit of ultimate by ensuring that they're given the opportunity to discuss their perspectives and hoping that everyone will be able to come to an agreement. And so the call looks to have been retracted. Hon retaining possession of the disc.
a little looser too, slightly, just for graphic. Thank you. And cutting one.
Hon to Thornton again, back to Hon. And as they say, the disc doesn't lie. It may have been called up before, but it's definitely called down this time. Raba breaks through Linny's defense. No call made this time. Oh. No, a call has been made. The same again, that the disc was down, but it's retracted. Raba will retain possession. Mackay applying pressure on that mark. Dishing back to Raba. Sider, marked out by Hon. A lot of pressure, very busy. Juliana Mackay looking to get the chase, the pressuring Raba out. It's not quite enough. Raba to far. Far sideline. Goes over the top of Mackay. Raba in the coffin corner. A lot of pressure, conditions not the best, but manages to swing around, finding far. Linny gets a hand to it, stops Hansen keeping possession. Hon to pick up right on the red zone. The wind is picking up, it's very fierce. Thornton looks to swing wide. Disc finds turf. HMC with an opportunity now, but their work is definitely cut out for them. Any errors in execution, as we can see, are going to lead to almost immediate turnovers. Thornton to pick up the disc. Lots of pressure, manages to reset to Hon. Thornton again. Once again, wind interfering, our 8th defender. Turn HMC possession, turn back to Hammertron Fusion. Dan Thornton with a big backhand, a little bit of edge, hoping to float it in. Comes off Hon's hands. A beautiful throw, all things considered, considering the conditions. Big fake, shifts the mark. The backhand's just enough edge to curve in, coming off the hands of its intended receiver. HMC, backhand, forehand rather, finding Hislop. Ash Patterson nearly gets a bite on it, not quite enough. Hon applying pressure on the mark, finding far. Signaling for players to come closer. The conditions are not enough to make those long throws. Cairns throws one up. Hammertron interferes, but Sider keeps it alive. Far, trying to shift the mark, cutting through the zone. Big bid from Thornton, not quite enough. Hislop in the center of field. A foul was called, but it looks to be uncontested. That's the signal. The crossed arms and supplication even, showing that no, there's absolute agreement about that. Hislop shifting that mark. Hansen, far sideline for Cairns. Looking to reset, a little bit much heat on it. Disc goes past the intended receiver, finds ground. Hislop on defense. Hon to initiate Hammertron's offense now. Finds Thornton. Back to Hon, pushing this near sideline. Thornton centers the disc to Weber. Back to Thornton again. To Linny. Mackay right through the middle. Not enough pressure from that zone. Linny again. Hon moving through the cup, creating an opportunity to keep possession, to keep advancing the disc up the field. Back to Thornton, to Hon. His pivot foot slipped, so he re-establishes the pivot foot to continue. Finds Kapoor after a massive bid from Sider. It's not enough. Kapoor, Chile, taking some patience. Resetting to Hon, to Weber, to Thornton. Back to Weber on the far sideline. Straight through the middle. Nice slide by Kapoor, and as an attempt, not quite enough. HMC in the far corner now. Gets a hand to the disc, not quite enough to prevent its flow. But the reset again interfered with by the wind. It comes in a little bit wobbly. It's just that much harder to catch. Hon initiating again for Thornton. Shifting the mark, looking for an opportunity to close out this point. Finds Mackay on the far sideline, who comes back to Thornton. Shot through the middle to Patterson. Their defensive captain with an impressive undercut just towards the front of the zone, unmarked, manages to secure the point. A beautiful connection. Hammertron Fusion bringing the score back to 2-2. 38 minutes into the game. Relatively low scoring, but these conditions are put in place to really test the integrity, the grit, the mental toughness of our players. Some of the finest athletes in the country, and they are still struggling against this wind. But it is our hope that, like nature's whetstone, it will only sharpen their skills throughout this game, throughout the rest of the tournament. Hammertron Fusion to come out on defense now. Every point is an important point. This one in particular for Hammertron. A break, particularly upwind, remembering that the wind is coming from the right side of the field down towards Hammertron. An upwind break is a very, very difficult thing to do. The downwind favoring the offense, meaning that you have to have that much more defensive pressure to get a turn, and then you're battling upwind to secure the point. But an upwind break gives you a downwind point going the other way. So it creates that much, it establishes momentum, and it allows the opportunity for a couple of chained breaks, which really help to widen up a scoreline. HMC, on the other hand, looking for an offensive hold to secure a lead, and then they'll have the opportunity with a similar break. So the pull comes short of halfway, giving the Hammertron defensive line just enough time to set up a defensive zone. HMC with a forehand through the middle, finding Warden. A little bit much edge on the disc. And because the thrower was the first person to touch the disc after having let go of it, that is a double touch and it constitutes a turnover. So Kieran Allen picks up, finds McCanna, finds Chris Charles. And a travel was called, so Chris Charles reestablishes his pivot foot where it would have been. Kieran Allen reaches out of nowhere to get the disc, but there's a turnover immediately afterwards. Hammertron back on defense. Warden, massive backhand to the unmarked Sivisith for a score. An offensive hold by HMC. Now with an upwind break opportunity of their own. It will be difficult. Again, just textbook execution. A beautiful downwind point for HMC. Shifts the mark just slightly. Sends a backhand, reading the wind perfectly. Knowing that his receiver is unmarked by the Hammertron zone. It is very, very difficult to beat ultimate like that.
Camera one, just slightly in one, and coming to one, on you one. I've got a wee issue in that our audio's gone in one, so I think there might be a loose connection into the camera. Okay, can you just push camera on? I'm going to... Okay, camera two, and just push in camera two for a start. I'm going to keep it coming out wide just for the shot sizes. And okay, and camera two, on you two, and on and move out. Please.
So HMC to come out on defense now. Raba with the disc looking to set up the pull, joined by Titheridge. Hansen, Leach, backhands.
Coming to camera 1. And 1.
A high pull catches the wind. Touching down inbounds, but well short of halfway. It's only about 20 meters or so that Hammertron need to work this point. Kieran Monsell to pick up. Big high backhand. Lovell manages to snatch it through the attempted bid by Raba. And that's enough to reset the score to 3-3. Bringing it back to a tied game. Beautiful high backhand. And Lovell's secure hands making sure that that disc stays in Hammertron possession for the score. Hammertron defensive line now. David Jackson, number 9 for the Hammertron line, taking a knee to give them a bit of his insight, his experience, the lanky Yankee. We are approaching halfway through the soft cap, but an ultimate half-time is not determined by the time limit of the game. It's by the first team to reach, in this instance, 8 points. So these teams will have to keep playing through these conditions, which are causing a lot of turns and making it very, very difficult to establish the kind of consistency of play that we have seen from both of these teams thus far in this tournament. Kieran Allen with the pull. Keeps it low and flat, puts a little bit of roll on, but it doesn't make it past halfway. Still opportunity for Hammertron to set up their defensive zone that's worked so well for them in this tournament. Linney and Mackay on the mark. Once again, Warden to pick up, driving the HMC offense. Having most of the touches on the disc. The wind again causing that little bit of bobble, making things just that much harder. Weber on the far sideline, through to Hahn. Back to Thornton. To Weber. Hahn again, looking to recenter the disc, try and pull themselves off that sideline. Thornton through the center to Kieran Allen. Mackay back to Allen, despite Sivasith's bid. Thornton to Weber on the far sideline. Kieran Allen, marked by Sivasith. Low forehand, finds Kapoor. Thornton. Hammertron happy to sacrifice a few yards here and there to maintain possession, but the throw to the far sideline to Linney goes up and over thanks to the wind. So Hammertron now back on defense. Warden to pick up, bringing the disc in at the sideline. We know he has those powerful backhands that'll make it all the way, but he sends a hammer instead. Shows a bit of face of the wind, fades back, but it's kept alive anyway. Shot straight through to Sivasith for his second score of the game. A beautiful shot option. The hammer going up, the wind not providing enough interference. Big hammer. And then through to the unmarked Sivasith a second time. HMC now 4-3 against Hammertron Fusion. bringing out their defensive line one more time. Raba, Cairns, Farr, Hansen, Sider. Raba with a pull. Again, interference by the wind carries it out the far sideline. Players signaling where the disc needs to be returned. Kieran Maunsell, the Hammertron quarterback, to initiate the play. Keenan streaking deep. Big backhand, a little bit too much edge, but Keenan keeps it anyway. Nearly manages a nice shot through to Steiner, but there's a little bit of an interference and pressure from the defense. A low forehand from Raab finds turf. The disc begins rolling. A freedom frisbee, as we call it. And rolls out the near sideline. Maunsell again to initiate the Hammertron offense. Carolyn Farris streaking deep. Over the top of the zone to Wilcox, centers the disc. Preble on the near sideline. Maunsell high backhand. Tipped by Hansen. Raab to take possession, marked by Wilcock. A lot of pressure on that near sideline. Raab again. Sider takes it. Big forehand up the near sideline. A little bit of edge. Finds turf. Cairns not in position to make a play. The wind causing the frisbee to roll. A lot of territory gained by HMC. A lot to work back by Hammertron Fusion. Kieran Maunsell, big backhand fake, or forehand fake to shift. Massive backhand, but it's intercepted by Raab in the deep space. Cutting through. Keenan with the backhand, finds Wilcock for the score. The game tied again, 50 minutes in, 4-4. Hammertron Fusion to come out on defense. Keenan again with a textbook backhand to the unmarked Wilcock. Just walks that one right into the breadbasket for the score.
Okay, I'm just cutting camera 2, you camera 2, 1 balance away. Thanks Mike, good calling. Thanks team. We'll slowly get into this. Go now, yep, do it now. I'm staying on 2. If we
The wind still picking up here in what would otherwise be beautiful Christchurch.
Don't fall off up there, everybody.
Hammertron having to play an upwind defense point, making their job just that little bit harder. Teams trading at the moment, team going up by 1 and then returning.
Whereabouts are they made of?
Good defense. Like offense typically will score the majority of your points in a game, but it's critical that defense manages to, at least on a couple of opportunities, break through the opposition's offense and score a few points of their own. We haven't seen many breaks since the game has been tied up. We've been trading. It was 2-2, 2-3, 3-3, and now at 4-4. Every defensive point is critical. Teams needing to get a break to widen up that score. Warden to pick up, marked by Mackay. Looking for far, finds turf instead. Kieran Allen, far sideline, bobbles out of the hands of Brun. Mackay applying pressure, looking to slightly change the shape of that zone to something a bit more, trying to pin far on that sideline. A beautiful up the line cut, but the disc comes in a little bit hot, comes off the back of the hand. Chris Charles centering the disc to Kieran Allen. Marked by Sivasith at the head of what looks to be a cup. Makana keeps it alive. It's bobbled, but he's secure. Lenny on the far sideline in that back corner. High shot. And the backhand gets caught by the wind, carried out of the field. A nice opportunity for HMC now for an offensive hold.
Up to you, but there is an offer of NZMUC if you wanted it. But I appreciate you've got a young child, so yeah, no, that's
Warden to bring the disc in on that sideline.
the Hammertrons, but I just thought seeing you here, I'd give you first offer. Just okay.
Forehand through and respectful disc placement on the ground. HMC, one player without a number on their shirt. But a very low, comfortable forehand for the score, bringing it to 5-4 in favour of HMC. Not the break Hammertron we're looking for, but an important hold for HMC, managing to establish a narrow lead. And now, despite the aggressive wind, which we can see shifting the shirts and hair of the HMC off a defensive line, it's an opportunity for them now potentially to break. It's going to be hard work. We've seen what kind of options the Hammertron offensive line are capable of putting out. A mixture of both long shots to open receivers and also small, compact, give-and-go based play, who ideally, in an optimal world, would work in any condition, except perhaps the high winds that we're seeing this morning.
Staying on one here for a bit.
55 minutes into our game, it is still wide open for either team to establish momentum and make a run of points. Raba giving the signal, ready for the pull. High shot, a lot of float, still falls short of the halfway line. Hammertron setting up in their hexagon offense. Kieran Monsell to pick up. Big backhand, wind catches it. It's just outside. Lovell's not going to get there. Raba to pick up in that corner. Lovell applying defensive pressure, looking to shut everything down. Keenan making sure that that high forehand isn't able to be kept alive by the HMC offense. A great opportunity for Hammertron now to close this point out. Kieran Monsell forced back to Adam Keenan. Monsell again, same spot, just using those passes to reset the stall count. David Jackson making a habit of static receptions in this tournament so far, just finding himself in a great position unmarked. And that bodily awareness that makes sure he's in bounds before securing the disc for the point. 5-5 now, a game going back to a tie. An offensive hold by Hammertron. It is hold after hold, despite the best efforts of these two teams' defensive lines. They're not able to overcome the advantage given by a strong downwind like we're seeing here. Giving the signal that it's a 4 men, 3 ladies point. You can see the effect that the wind is having. Players having to run around the zone before the point starts to keep warm. Kieran Allen with the pull. Tries to put a bit of a roll on it. It's not enough. Only a few meters in front of, perhaps not even a few meters in front of the Hammertron brick mark. Creating a great opportunity again. Only about 20 meters or so for the HMC offense to work the disc up. Warden, unsurprisingly, to initiate. Are we going to see that same backhand? No, it's a forehand at the far side looking for far. Big fake looking to take Hon's head off. Not quite there. High backhand caught by the wind. Warden again. A foul, looks like a foul has been called. Linney on Warden, which explains why the disc hit turf. Warden, normally a consistent handler, has seen turf a couple of times, maybe a bit much pressure, trying to rush things a little bit. But it's an uncontested foul, so the disc will return to Warden. So despite an impressive dive by the HMC, no, it looks like Hammertron will keep possession. So the turnover will stand. Kieran Allen finds Thornton to Hon. In their own end zone, it's an awful place to play. Keenan having joined the defensive line. A lot of pressure from Van der Velden. But they're able to work around, slowly chipping their way out of their own end zone. A little bit of wind. Kieran Allen unable to hang on to that one. High shot resets to Warden. Dropping the disc back a few meters to far. Tries to go over the top of the zone, but Kieran Allen takes to the skies. Recenters to Thornton. Swings across to Hon through the middle to Keenan. Hoping to utilize some of that leg speed to maybe make a difference in the Hammertron defense, give them a bit more offensive versatility on a turn. Siversith and Keenan having a discussion at the moment. Okay, the disc is checked back in. Keenan massively shifting Siversith's balance, manages to create an opening. Hon doing the same to Van der Velden. Dan Thornton on the reception, tumbles the disc. An opportunity now for HMC to close out the point. Right on the edge of the Hammertron zone, Warden returning the disc to the front of the end zone where he needs to establish a pivot foot. And a little quick backhand to a run through, the momentum carrying him through. And that is Chung running through for the score, his first of the game, I think. Taking it to 6-5 in favour of HMC. HMC, a team where none of the players actually know what HMC stands for. This was a bit of a running joke. I believe some of their uniforms have various iterations of what HMC could stand for emblazoned across them. But HMC to send out the defensive line now, still having to play upwind on those turns, giving the downwind advantage to the Hammertron offense. We've seen that they're able to capitalize on it. There have been a few instances where they've as good as let the disc go and let the wind do the rest of the work, carrying it through to an unmarked receiver.
Coming to one, on you one. Gonna stay for one for the throw. See, the sun just appeared everything. Okay, coming to two. Oh no, staying on one. Actually, coming to one, coming to two, on you two, on you two.
Sider with the disc looking to pull.
Gonna stay here for the
Gives the signal.
two, and coming one.
The wind catches it, brings it back to
Coming two, on you two.
very, very close to the targeted end zone. HMC coming down in a zone look. Monsell to Wilcock.
On you two.
Monsell again. Wilcock. Keenan on the far sideline. Monsell with a drop. Immediately turfs the forehand. The wind just causing that much trouble. Cairns, Sider joining him in the cup. An arrowhead defense trying to force the disc towards the sidelines where they can trap it. Monsell finds Keenan. Back to Monsell. Centre field. Swings across to Wilcock, who works with Monsell to just keep the disc moving. Preble to Keenan for the score. Monsell with a nice establishing backhand over the top of that arrowhead. We'll see that again. High backhand. Preble finds position quickly, fires off to Adam Keenan with clear separation for the score. 6-6, another tie. Waiting for one team to make a crucial break in this game.
Everyone okay up there? One, coming two, on you two.
Hammertron to send out their defensive line now. Mackay, Brun, McCanna, Linney, Patterson. McCanna leaving the field as it appears to be a 3-men point, so 4 women taking the field. Kieran Monsell and Adam Keenan, and Ken Wilcock, from who would normally be offensive line players, taking the field. So hoping to capitalise on a turn, applying that defensive pressure, getting a turn and using that offensive experience, those perhaps a little bit longer, more powerful throws to break through that upwind and find that crucial break that'll split this game open for them. Kieran Monsell to pull.
There's a hard out, soft out at 90, so 25 minutes. Hard out, 35 minutes.
A lot of edge. It comes down just shy of the halfway mark. Again, the higher the disc goes, the more impact the wind is going to have. Warden, unsurprisingly, to initiate a big forehand, a lot of edge. Well overthrown. And so this could be the opportunity that Hammertron need.
Two just pick up. And coming to, on you two. And one,
HMC looking to establish the defense.
I would like to also look at what we did in last time.
Civicis and Smith
No.
at the very, very head of the defensive movement from HMC.
And coming through to one, only one, two just to your left.
Kieran Monsell with the disc, walking into the front of the end zone to establish the Hammertron offense.
And cutting one and one.
Keenan, Monsell, working that far sideline with Wilcock, trying to break around the defensive pressure from HMC. Keen with a big spin to get separation, finds the disc on the far sideline. Maunsell trying to move around to the ridge. A violation's been called. It's unclear what happened. It looked like it might have been a double team called. In the event of a double team where two defenders are actively marking the thrower, there needs to be at least 3 meters separation between that second defender and the thrower, unless there are certain other circumstances are met. If a double team is called, it requires that the store count be reset, and if that doesn't happen, then that constitutes a violation. Kent Wilcock in the center of the field, spinning around, trying to shift that cup, creating an opening for himself. Maunsell there is a quick reset. Keenan back to Maunsell, but there's a turn, a little bit underthrown. Warden with, again, the big backhand. A beautiful score by HMC. So Van der Velden to receive. That same Warden backhand that we keep seeing, a little bit of edge, it curves back in. A lot of pressure, but not enough by Maunsell to stop Van der Velden pulling that one down. 7-6 at the 69th minute. HMC with an opportunity to take half with a break. Hammertron to pull it back to what we call Galaxy Point, where both teams are tied before half with an offensive hold.
Staying on one.
Brava again to drive the defense of HMC ABC's line. Joined on the line by Sider Chung. Big pull. Considering the conditions, about 35 meters or so down the field. David Jackson, number 9, the lanky Yankee. Kent Wilcock in the center field. Just keeping the disc moving, trying to shift the zone. Forehand out to Lovell on the far sideline. Cuts one through to Preble. Nice dish back to Lovell. Looking for Farris in the end zone. Just out of reach. Raba with the disc. Forehand. Hansen takes 2 bites of the apple. It's not quite enough. This could be the hold that Hammertron need to keep a tied game, taking us to Galaxy Point. Keenan walking the disc to the front of the end zone to initiate the Hammertron offense. Threads one through to Kent Wilcock for the score. Beautiful patience, just constantly searching until something presents itself. Despite Raba's best efforts, Wilcock is able to secure the point for his Hammertron side. 7-7, Galaxy Point. The next team to score will take half. There's a huge psychological advantage in taking half. And it also means that we'll have a few minutes break for these teams to catch their breath. They have been playing for more than 70 minutes in some relatively harrowing conditions. And the physical and psychological toll that that can take when you're not able to execute the plays that you're used to in the manner that you're used to is quite significant. So again, we can see Kieran Monsell looks to have joined the defensive line just to make sure there's that extra throwing power in the event of a turn to work against this strong upwind in the event that Hammertron get a break. Patterson, Allen.
Yeah, no, so what's happened now is it's gone from a 13 game to the rest of the day.
Hammertron signaling readiness.
Still on you two, Actually, as soon as he puts it down, he starts running. Yeah, there's the other thing, and on you, we don't need.
Pull with a little bit of edge, hoping for a roll. Curves back and comes out of bounds. Once again, an opportunity to trap that disc on the sideline, applying a lot of pressure. Warden's going to pick up. Marked by Mackay. Ash Patterson looking to take away that early reset option. Big forehand goes up. Over the tops of all of the players involved. And so that is a turn. Hammertron now with a great chance. Some of the throwing confidence that we've seen despite the wind. Kieran Monsell to pick up. Supported by Kieran Allen and Daniel Thornton, two of the other more confident throwers from the Hammertron defensive line. Marked by Sivasith, a lot of pressure, we've seen it. Manages to offload to Thornton to find Allen in the corner. A low release forehand, but it finds turf, rolls back, gives possession back to HMC. High shot, Warden keeps it alive. Another high one, Hon interferes, says not today, resets to Monsell to find Thornton. Back to Monsell, trying to build that momentum, shift the cup out of the way, cuts through over the hands of Hon. A little bit too much edge, the wind takes it and says, oh, you're going to need to do better than that. And we're 75 minutes into this game now. Some of the earlier games that we had yesterday had a 75-minute soft cap. These teams today will be playing an extra 15. Warden with a beautiful hammer goes over the top of Patterson. Kieran Monsell gets a read, puts a hand to it, knocks it out of bounds. Picks up the disc to establish a pivot foot at the inside corner of the field, marked by Van der Velden. Catches Thornton on the near sideline. Swings back across to Kieran Allen. Having to miscommunication, the throw goes to ground. HMC, another opportunity to close this out and take half. We're here Galaxy Point, our first game of the day in the Division 2 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here in windy Christchurch. A little bit of a timing issue. Warden sends it higher than his receiver's expecting, leading to a turn for Hammertron. Van der Velden with a run through D as Monsell tries to connect with Hon. It's not enough. Warden once again looking to establish that offense. Mackay on the mark. Huge pressure from Hammertron defense. Has to go high over the top. A hand is not enough in this weather. Hammertron securing the turn, but yet to secure the point. Monsell. One more time, marked by Sivasith. Thornton trying to cut through, gets looked off, connects anyway. Monsell, Allen. Thornton. Monsell. Allen past the outstretched hands of Siverstith. Back to Monsell on the far sideline. Thornton again. Hammertron struggling to work the disc up the field. Amazing defensive pressure that we're seeing by HMC. Chipping through. Again, the high shot, wind catches it. Causes a turn. HMC with an opportunity to take half now. And there is our half time taken. Warden finding Van der Velden. Oh. Well done by HMC to take half time. We will be back in a few moments with the second half of this match. It is 8-7. HMC on 8, Hammertron Fusion on 7. You can see a couple of cheeky celebrations from the HMC side as they hope to consolidate in the second half. My name is Blair Monroe. This is day 2, match 1 of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships Division 2 in Christchurch. Stay with us and we'll be back shortly. And we are back as the wind is howling in our first match of the second day of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships Division 2. The score currently 8-7 in favour of HMC. Hammertron to send out their offensive line. 85 minutes into the game, 5 minutes away from our soft cap. A short pull by HMC, great opportunity now for Hammertron. Kieran Monsell to pick up that same arrowhead that we see, a high backhand, a little bit of edge, finds turf. Raba will be happy with that, picks up the disc right on the edge of his own zone. Finds Cider. Tries to cut through the zone. There's too much Hammertron movement to make that happen, but Furs manages to pick one up. Hislop, sorry. Back to Raba. Farris on the mark, trying to apply a lot of pressure. Chung back to Raba. Wind catching the edge of that forehand. Hansen only getting a fingertip to it. Monsell trying to rush. Wilcock unable to secure it. It goes back to Raba. Edge on that forehand. Cider looking to stop the roll. Maybe 10 meters or so away from securing it. David Jackson to pick up. Offensive captain threads through. Kent Wilcock takes a knee, but it's not enough. Raba fires it through to far. Mary Carriage with the D. Manages to just get in the way, shut that down. Monsell to Keenan. Recenters to Monsell. Around to Wilcock, looking to chip through that zone. Looks back to Monsell. Big fake. Puts a swivel on the head of the defender. To Wilcock through to Farris. To Keenan. Unmarked. Opportunities here for a score. Gaining inches by inches. Monsell to Jackson. High. Wilcock gets a hand to it. A second hand to it. It's not enough. Body on the line. Raba's going for it now. Lining up a forehand. Trying to shift the mark. Not quite enough. A lot of defensive pressure here. Kieran Monsell with a beautiful point block. Would love to see a replay of that. Just getting that stall count a little bit higher. Monsell rushes again. Just refusing to shift. Far. Trying to move defense again. Pressuring Raba. To Leach. Raba again. The wind pushing the disc out of Leach's hands. Another opportunity for Hammertron to tie this game up at the 89th minute. Kieran Monsell hopefully playing a little bit calmer than he has on his last couple of possessions. Beautiful spin move by Adam Keenan looking for separation. Beautiful point. We can see just that textbook Keenan agility. Beautiful spin. Managing to shift the defense out of the way. The disc coming over the top for a comfortable score. The score going to 8-8. 15 seconds left before we hit soft cap. So the soft cap will go. This point will be completed. And it looks to be a race to 10. So there goes our soft cap. Hopefully the players will be made aware of that shortly. But the completion of this point, regardless of who wins, will bring the score to 9-8. We will add 1 to the highest score, which in this case is 9, which means that it is a race to 10. The first team to score 2 points will take the game. Hammertron sending out their upwind mix, a mixture of some of their more confident O-line players and some of their stronger defenders. We've got Adam Keenan, Jesse Preble, Carolyn Farris, the big man himself, Kieran Maunsell, Ash Patterson, their defensive captain, Daniel Thornton, and Kent Wilcock. Maunsell sends the pull, a little bit of a roll, still in their own zone, or in their own half rather. Kent Wilcock to apply pressure to Warden. Carolyn Farris looking to take away Farr's opportunity as a reset. She pushes up the line. A big forehand from Warden. Looks to have been a turn. Looks like the disc went well out of bounds. Isaiah Kapoor jumping a fence to return the disc to the playing field. Kieran Maunsell marked by Taylor. Keenan on the far sideline. Huge shift, getting a bite out of the defenders. Maunsell back to Thornton. To Wilcock. Keenan again, hoping to chip away using that offensive pressure. A high shot, and the wind catches it. Undoes all of the Hammertron hard work. Right in the danger zone. Now we will see if the Hammertron zone is enough to stop Warden's offense gaining any ground at all. Kent Wilcock getting a hand to it, but it looks like a call has been made. Players having a bit of a discussion. No call was made, so the turnover will stand. Kent Wilcock with a just following the rules and making sure that checks are made appropriately. Kent Wilcock bobbling that disc, stopping the score. Maunsell pinned down, manages to find Thornton on the far sideline. Looks back to find Keenan.
What's your preference for this afternoon? That Simon finds another game, or you...
HMC's defensive pressure pushing the Tron backwards. Kent Wilcock sends a high backhand. Ash Patterson misses it. Jesse Preble misses it. It's a turnover. Warden picks it up. He winds up the hammer, puts it back in the holster. Backhand across the field. Farr just keeps it off the turf. Carolyn Farris with a beautiful run through D, just seeing an opportunity, flying out of nowhere and making sure that the disc stays out of the hands of her opposition. Kieran Maunsell to pick up, marked out by Taylor. Finds Thornton gaining a meter at a time to Kent Wilcock. A great trapping zone that we're seeing from HMC, trying to force the disc to that sideline, hoping the wind will do the extra work. And it does. A turnover generated by that clever trap. far to pick up Kent Wilcock on the mark. Big forehand. The big man goes up, says not today, comes back down, keeps possession.
Not sure what that buzzer was for. I'm not sure.
A big backhand, hopefully just for territory, but Warden intercepts. Sends one back of his own.
Oh, what a point, what a point.
Van der Velden takes the catch.
Replay.
Absolutely beautiful. Intercept by Warden, opens it up, rips off this massive backhand. Thornton making a crossfield bid, it's not enough. Van der Velden keeps it in bounds for a beautiful score, 9-8 to HMC.
Is that full time?
It looks like they're calling that full time. Based on our timing, there should still be one more point made.
Game on camera one. Hang on. Okay. Okay, staying on one, staying on one, staying on
But it looks like that will be full time. The final score going 9-8 in favor of HMC. A beautiful finish for both teams on this, the first stream game of day 2 of the Division 2 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here in Christchurch. Despite their best efforts, Hammertron unable to pull out the win. HMC capitalising and going strong into the second day of the tournament. My name is Blair Monroe, and we will be back with you shortly.